Welcome to another video for Petrichor Soap Company. I'm Mel, and today I thought I'd just chat with you while I bevel some soaps. I decided not to chat with you while I'm making the soap because it's just too, it takes too much of my concentration and I lose my train of thought and go quiet. But when I'm doing something repetitive like this, I don't mind chatting because it's a little bit easier to do this and talk at the same time. So this is the Lavender Oat Milk soap that I made in the last video, and if you hear that, that is my cat Thunder, who I also mentioned in the last video likes to talk, so occasionally you might hear him in the videos that are being recorded with live audio. So it's been about, I want to say 3 or 4, no, probably more like 4 or 5 days since I made this soap. I'd like to let it sit for a while before I bevel it, just so that it's not too squishy. Because if it's too squishy when you use the grater, you get a lot of residue stuck on there. And you really only want to take off a little bit. And I do this with every bar of soap. In the beginning I wasn't going to, but even for just my own personal use, I find the sharp edges when you first use that bar are just a little bit uncomfortable. And I think overall it's a nicer experience to have the beveled up edges. And like I said, it's not something that I really mind doing. I think if I get bigger and having to do this on, thousands of bars of soap might be impractical, but for now, I don't mind doing this. That's a nice bar there. I don't know if you can see that with the little sprig of lavender on top. That might not last, especially with shipping, it might fall off. It's the problem with putting pretty delicate botanicals on the top of soaps like this. So this batch of soap I intend to list on Faire. Faire is a kind of a platform similar to Etsy, but it's for wholesale. So it's, makers such as myself and then retail stores looking to purchase in wholesale quantities for their location. And wholesale has always been a goal for my business. And I've been hesitant to try them out only because I prefer to have clients go through me directly. I don't like having a third party involved like Etsy or Faire. But because I'm just starting out, I think it may be valuable just to get my name out there, build up that client base, and then hopefully they can, choose to go through me directly in the future. Wholesale's, definitely not for everyone, and it's not something you should get into unless you want to. I think it's important when you have a small business to have a goal of where you want it to go, where you see yourself with it. Ultimately, the dream is to be self-employed. But it's also okay to just have a small business as a hobby and have it pay for itself. And you don't have to have tons of orders coming in just to be a success as a small business. I am quite small. I don't do a whole lot in retail sales. I'd love to do more. But I am just, you know, just getting myself out there, just starting, playing with different things. I don't do a lot of markets. Most of my marketing happens on Instagram. And then I have my own website through Shopify that I sell through. So you can only grow as much as you've put yourself out there. And I do try to post every day on Instagram, but it's hard. And there's days where I just don't feel like it. And there's days where I feel like I just don't have anything interesting to say or to share, because I am smaller and this is not my full-time job. I don't often have as much to do in a day as other shops who do this full-time. Especially as far as making soap, I don't want to get overloaded with a bunch of bars that I can't sell. Because a soap does last a long time, but ideally I think it's nice to be able to use it within 6 months. But I have bars still from the start of when I started making soap, so from 2018. I still have bars that we are using in the shower. Obviously the longer it sits, the more water content evaporates from it, and the harder of a bar you get, the longer it lasts in the shower. The lighting might be a bit on and off today. It's a bit of a blustery day, kind of clouds on and off. You can definitely feel that the beginning of fall is here. It's a huge contrast to when I made this soap a few days ago, when it was 36 degrees. It's almost too much of a shift. I was freezing cold all day yesterday, but I'm just not ready to get into socks and sweaters just quite yet. I want to hold on to some of summer. I don't know about you. I used to say fall was my favorite time of year, but the older I get, it's kind of spring. I look forward to the end of the cold. But there's still something about fall that I enjoy. I love Halloween. I love all the colors. My birthday is in October, so I'm kind of a fall baby. And it's the approach of candle season and stew and chili season and all those things that I love that aren't really great to enjoy during the height of summer. So I thought maybe I'd just talk a little bit about the business name, Petrichor. A lot of people don't know what that means. It's a Greek word that describes a scent. It is the smell of the, it's the smell after rain, so after a warm, dry day, it's the smell of rain on dry earth. So that smell that you get when a prairie thunderstorm is just opening up after a sun-baked day, sort of beautiful, earthy, clean, ozone smell. And I thought that was a really interesting concept, that there was a word that was for such a specific, evocative smell. And rainy weather has always been my favorite. I spent a lot of summers on Vancouver Island, which isn't necessarily rainy, though it could be, especially up on the North Island. And but you kind of get that petrichor smell when you're deep inside the forests hiking. And yeah, I wanted my business to evoke that natural smell. I may change it in the future going forward. You know, typically with a business, when you want to get big, you want a brand name that's shorter and memorable. I think Petrichor is memorable, but you often have to explain it, and sometimes it's not the best to have a brand name that you need to explain. But for now, I am registered under this, and it's pretty costly to change your business name. It's not a small thing. You have to do another business name search through the registry. You have to re-register your business through both federally and provincially, and then you know, I have to buy a new domain. Sorry if I sniff. I have ongoing sinus issues. It's just something I live with, something chronic that I live with day to day. And I'm looking down at this soap, which doesn't help. And we've had a lot of forest fires lately, which also is not helping. Anybody who suffers from seasonal allergies or sensitivities knows what I'm talking about. So yeah, anyway, changing your business, there's a lot of costs involved in that, and right now my business doesn't make enough money to justify that. I don't even cover my costs, just to be real, because I think it's important to be real when it comes to a small business. There are so many costs, and I may go on about that in a separate video, just all the little hidden costs there are to owning a business. Because I think it's important to be realistic. It's not all sunshine and rainbows and a billion orders from Shopify to print out and fill. There's a lot of money, and certainly there's some things you can do that to save yourself some money. Like there's free programs that you can use to you know, design labels and those kinds of things. But there are still costs involved in setting up and maintaining a business, and it often takes a few years before that business can cover those costs. So like I said, I do work full-time, and right now I just do this on the side, mostly on the weekends, sometimes in the evenings, but I'm usually too tired for that. Especially as we go into winter, my cycle sort of changes. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely got a bit of SAD going on, a seasonal affective disorder. So when, you know, I have a harder time getting up when it's not light out. And I've sort of come to, you know, peace with that fact. I allow myself to have a different rhythm in the winter, get up later, don't do as much in the evening when it's dark. And then, you know, in the summer I'm awake at 5 a.m. because that's just how it goes. But that's okay. The older I get, the more I kind of just do my own thing, come to peace with finding my own rhythm and doing what makes me happy. So I think I mentioned before that we live in Leduc, Alberta, Canada. And oh gosh, we've been here since October, November of 2020. And this is our first house, like our first house that we purchased ourselves, which was a really great thing. It was something that I didn't know I would ever achieve in my life, and I'm very grateful to have done so. Even though buying a house during the pandemic was a little stressful, I think buying a house anytime is super stressful, and I don't recommend it. I should say that. I mean, it's great after the fact, but oh my gosh, there are a few things more stressful in this world than buying a house. And I hope I don't have to do it again for a really long time. Even though this place is kind of a compromise, and I think when you buy your first place, that's a reality that you come to, is that you are going to make compromises. You're not going to get everything you want out of your first home. What I'd really love is to be out on an acreage, and the problem is that we need to find an acreage that has high-speed internet for my wife. And if you know anything about country living, that's not usually something that you find. But who knows? Who knows where we'll be in 10 years and what our philosophies will be. It's also hard when you're getting older to think about moving out somewhere like the country, because it's a lot more to take care of. And we'd also like to do more traveling as we get older. So staying in the place we are now might just be the right answer for that. I would definitely love to see the world. There are so many places I want to visit. Like France is probably my number one. I'm not so excited about, you know, Paris and the big cities, but I really want to explore the French countryside and do some wine tours and see castles and all that medieval goodness. So really, I'd like to go all over Europe. But I'd also have always dreamt of going to Japan. I studied Japanese language and literature in university for a time. So it's always been kind of near and dear to my heart. And I want to eat everything in Japan. Even the food that's not traditional Japanese food, they're just so, they excel at what they do. I think it would be an amazing culinary trip. I already did that one. See, that's the fun. That's what happens when you talk and do something at the same time. Oh, that one's done. All right, there we go. Back on track. So like I said, these are going to get listed on Faire for wholesale. I personally struggled a bit with how to do that because I typically do my wholesale orders by pre-order. Because I'm small, I don't have a lot of materials on hand, mostly because I like them to be as fresh as possible, and that way the product you're getting is as fresh as possible. In regards to the oils have a shelf life, so you do want to be making your product within a certain time. But I know on Faire they expect orders to be fulfilled within a certain amount of days, and with cold processed soap that takes 6 to 7 weeks. That's just not something that can happen unless you've got inventory on the shelf. And that's one of my biggest struggles as a soap maker, is figuring out how much stock to have on hand, when to be remaking stock. I don't have the answers yet. When I do, if I ever do, I will certainly share that revelation. But for now, I am starting with 48 bars, and you set your limit for wholesale, like how much you want to, what your minimum order is. You control all of that. So you just need to be able to make sure that you have enough product to sell that order minimum. So we're going to try this out. It may be a total disaster. If it's not, that's great. If it is, then these soaps will just get listed on the website, or maybe taken to one of my consignment partners, because it's still great soap. Lavender is a popular one, that's why I started with that. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's all done. The next step is for these to cure for 6 weeks, and then they will get photographed and listed, and I'll probably make a post about that on Instagram if there happen to be any wholesale clients out that are looking to pick up some oat milk and lavender soaps. Anyway, I hope you guys have a really great day. It's been great chatting with you, and take care.